I'm Martha Lane Fox. I'm founder and chair of Dot.Everyone. Dot.Everyone is a new kind of organisation. We're not just fixing what's broken, but we're showing what's possible using the internet, and we want to make the UK the most connected and digital country on the planet. Technology has shifted everything, and it's not just in the delivery of services, but it's also in the policy around those services. And the thing that's interesting about the internet is it allows ideas to spread really quickly, so policies can be shared much more easily than they ever could be before, and more than that, citizens can share in the creation and engagement with those policies. The policies that we saw in the programme had a kind of digital underpinning, and the ability for them to be spread around a country or around the world was always affected by the use and expansion of the internet. Estonia is the most incredible country because they've just put the internet at the heart of how they reorganise themselves. 99% of people in Estonia are online. They do a huge number of government services. So for me, in the background of things I'm interested in, that was a really stellar country and policy. I loved Costa Rica because Costa Rica has tried to do something that is so preoccupying for the entire planet with its energy policies, and yet very few countries have put really successful policies at the heart of how they're thinking about things, and I think we can all learn a lot from the way Costa Rica has thought about this. It's so humbling to think of people, so many millions of people living without proper sanitation, that I personally didn't know very much about the challenge in India and the quite complex nature of the issues surrounding sanitation, particularly for women. So for me, I found that quite both humbling, depressing and inspiring. Uganda, I think I found the most interesting of all the policies. I knew a bit about Estonia, but Uganda was new to me. And there's something about the way that many African countries have leapt use of the internet in terms of particularly mobile, and how the technology has jumped ahead of many developed countries. So the fact that digital and mobile underpinned the extraordinary work that the lawyers do was obviously really exciting and enlightening for someone who's interested in the digital world. The incredible thing about the spread of the internet is that it enables policies to shift much more quickly, both to get feedback directly from the users of those policies, us the citizens, but also to spread ideas and get ideas. So all of the policies that we had exposure to in the programme had an underpinning of digital in either how they were being used, or how they were getting feedback on the policies, or how they could leapfrog forwards and develop them more deeply. So the internet was fundamental to how they would spread and grow and be challenged. Clearly the biggest pitfall to anything to involve in the digital world is people who haven't got access. And there's still a huge digital divide, and many of the countries working on have many millions of people who are not connected to the internet. You know, it's easy to forget that half the world doesn't have internet access yet or has never been online. That's a big opportunity, but it's also a big risk of creating a kind of two-tier system. You know, the internet has transformed many aspects of our society, but we are still really only at the beginning of this journey and adventure. It didn't exist 25, 30 years ago, and the early adoption is now beginning to move into kind of mainstreaming around how different societies are organised, whether it's health or education, justice policy. So I think we really are only at the beginning of what the internet is going to enable as citizens and governments. There's two big areas that I see in the quite immediate future. The first is just much, much better and richer use of data. Governments are already beginning to clock onto the fact that they can shift huge areas of health prevention policy or education or understanding of what citizens need and are doing in much more profound ways. And the second one is around this notion of everything being enabled, so not just a device, but maybe a chair or a school or a lamppost, and that when you have everything connected, again, you can make much more interesting and sophisticated decisions. I think that policy making is at a really interesting kind of juncture, because arguably policy can be much more kind of crowdsourced, to use the technical lingo. You can involve citizens much more in what they think is the right kind of ideas, or get feedback much more quickly. So this notion that somebody in a government sits in a stuffy old office and just comes up with a policy and then it happens, I think is already becoming very old-fashioned, and we're seeing much more collaborative and dynamic policy making, and that will continue.